Welcome to the Crack House Chronicles, your favorite true crime podcast. I am Donnie, and with me is a man that wants everyone to know that the Wendy's Baconator is his favorite burger that sounds like a pig from the future that's here to kill you. It's Dale.
Yeah, it probably is.
All that bacon on it.
All that bacon in it, but it is good.
Bacon and grease.
And cheese grease.
Yeah.
You know, it's got like forearm cheese grease.
I mean, there's no better vehicle for cheese than bacon.
That's right. They can ride around together.
Yeah, they can. It's damn good. What's going on, dude?
You man.
No, same old.
Same old.
We got to say same old every time.
We have to, don't we?
Yeah, because
it's kind of a thing now.
Same old.
Yeah, I guess we got to get a shirt.
We're going to put that on a shirt eventually.
Maybe Chris Williams in the buy one.
That's right. You got any good shout-outs for anybody you want to talk about? Dude.
Look at there.
Man.
We're piling them up, ain't we?
Pile them on.
We have a new Apple Podcast 5-star review, and this comes from our friend Shelly Baines. I'm going to go with Baines. B-A-E-N-Z. Baines?
Sounds good to me.
I was going to go Beans, but either one's cool.
Yeah.
So you can text me and straighten me out. Shelly Baines. Okay, anyway, goes. I found podcast gold. That's an exclamation in all capitals, buddy.
Gold.
Yeah. There's gold in them there heels. This is the best crime podcast out there today. I like your relaxed demeanor and your genuine presentation. Also, thanks for keeping up with the Aisha Degree case. Hopefully, that case will be solved one day.
Hopefully so. Yep.
Hopefully so. Thank you so much, Shelly Beans.
I'll tell you what, Shelly Baines, email us and tell us how you pronounce your last name, or if that's part of your last name, or it's just a handle.
Or a video clip or something. Let me know. We'll get it straight. We love it.
Yeah.
Anyway, thanks so much for taking a few minutes to give us a 5-star review. It means the world to us, and appreciate you putting that in the box so we know who it is. And that's pretty damn good. Best crime podcast out there today.
Man, I
think I need to be on the shirt too.
Yeah, I agree with it. I mean, I'm not prejudiced or anything, but I think we are. I think we're really good.
We can put that on a shirt and we'll put her name under it as a quote, and it ain't lying, right?
No, it's not lying, no.
Anyway, thanks again, Shelly.
But if anybody wants to be like Shelly Beans, and go to Apple Podcast and rate and review, please write something in that box, and we will give you a big old shout-out.
Yep, just like we did Beans.
We did. That's right. And go to the store page, get you something cool to wear, support the show, help keep the lights on.
Man, we really appreciate that.
Yeah, those people bought some stuff, and we appreciate it a whole bunch.
Yeah. I got a text the other day that said, hey, I bought me a hoodie.
Man.
Wow, how cool is that? Yeah. First I said, I thought they said I want a hoodie, so I sent them the link. And they're like, no, that's where I bought it from. I was like, oh, I'm sorry. I was doing something. I just looked at it quick and said, I want a hoodie. I'm like, I was just trying to help them out. I'm like, no, dumbass. I already done got one. So how cool is that?
But if you buy something and get something from us, take a picture of it and we'll post it on our socials.
Heck yeah.
Yeah.
Be glad to do that.
Well, we will do it. No doubt about it.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Like an army of photos.
Yeah.
That'd be cool.
An army?
Yeah. I don't know. I couldn't think of nothing else.
Yeah. I don't know what the group of photos would be called. But
lots of photos.
An army of photos. That sounds good to me.
Yeah, I would go with that.
Yeah, I'd go with that. But we're going to get into this episode, man, because we've got...
That's probably why we're rambling, because this is going to be rough. Trying to push this off a little bit.
We have looked into this case we're doing today, and I'm telling you, we've covered over 200 cases on this show, man. Mm-hmm. And some of them have been rough.
Some of them have been rough.
But this one is at the top of the list.
Yeah.
Yeah. So put on you big girl and big boy panties, because this is going to be rough.
Big boy panties?
Yeah. That's right.
Whatever you like.
Yeah, whatever floats your boat, I reckon. But Dale, today we're talking about a lady by the name of Bobbie Jo Stinnett.
Bobbie Jo.
Yeah. Just a little bit of background on Bobbie Jo Stinnett. She was born Bobbie Jo Potter on December the 4th, 1981, to parents Becky and Buck Potter, and she was their only child. But Dale, when she was born with a cleft palate.
Right.
Yeah, and she had to have several surgeries to fix this issue she had.
Right.
Yeah. And she also had some other issues. She suffered from ear infections a lot and had to have tubes put in her ears at one point.
Yeah, a lot of people have that.
Yeah. And from all these problems, she ended up having some speech impediment.
Well, that kind of comes with the territory.
It does. But despite these health issues, Bobbie Jo was described as a sweet child.
Yes.
She was.
Well, just because she had a cleft palate don't mean she's going to be a bad person.
Yeah, that's right. But, they considered her a little bit shy, too, I guess, because of having the speech impediment and stuff. You know how people will be, and people make fun of you, and because kids are cruel, man.
Yeah, in the 80s.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get it.
No doubt about it.
Lived it. We know it.
But when Bobbie Jo was little, her parents, Becky and Buck, their marriage was on the rocks, man. Yeah.
Not good.
Yeah, while Bobbie Jo was just a small kid. And her father moved to Texas and left the family behind.
Becky, Buck, and Bobbie Jo.
Yeah.
You could write a song about that.
Yeah. But Becky and Bobbie Jo did join Buck later, but their reunion was pretty short-lived. Buck wasn't a family man at all.
Well, I don't think he really wanted to have that responsibility to pay all that attention and pay some bills.
Probably not.
Yeah, he had stuff to do.
Yep. But Becky had had enough, and she took Bobbie Jo, and they returned to Skidmore, Missouri, and lived there as a single parent. But just a little bit about Skidmore, Missouri. Now, this is a speck on the map.
It's a metropolis.
Well, it's a tiny town in northwestern Nottoway County in Missouri. Missouri, yeah.
That's your town, ain't it?
Yes.
Nottoway.
I could sleep there, yeah.
Be like Naptown in Nottoway County.
Yeah. But Skidmore, Missouri is at the junction of Missouri Highway 113 and Route DD with a population of just under 300 people. But it's a pretty good place to live. In the last 100 years, half of the residents of Skidmore have either moved away or died.
Yeah, sounds like a great place.
Yeah. But it would be a small place to live, just to have a quiet life, I guess.
There's more people in high school down here.
At the local high school here than there are in the whole town.
Yeah.
But you could say Skidmore has a kind of an aura. The crime rate in this town is low. But when something happens, it's pretty grisly. Because there have been some other cases there that we may talk about later. There was a guy there by the name of Ken Rex McElroy. He was like a town bully. He had raped and murdered people. And
That's a little more than bullying.
Yeah. He was abused some animals and different things, and he was actually killed by a mob. They'd got together and killed him on the street.
Sounds like somebody had enough.
Yeah, and we may cover him a little bit later down the road.
Wow.
Yeah, but like we say, when something happens there, it's pretty rough.
They're going for it.
They are going all out.
Good gracious. All right, let's go.
But there in Skidmore, Becky Potter tried to offer Bobbie Jo the best possible life she could give her. Yeah, she'd even got a job at a local store to help support her and Bobbie Jo.
I guess you had to do something.
Yeah, but Becky, her and Buck's divorce was finalized in 1985. And around the time she became a teenager, Becky married again. Bobbie Jo's mom married again.
Okay.
And they welcomed another child. It was a son named Tyler. So Bobbie Jo had a brother.
I'll be darned. And it wasn't starting with a B.
No. Yeah, they didn't keep up the tradition, I guess.
Okay. We got a new member, so the tradition's broken, I guess.
But Bobbie Jo was in high school there at Nottoway Holt High School there in Graham, Missouri. And she participated in several clubs. She was in the 4-H club. She worked on the school newspaper. She was a cheerleader and an honor student.
Yes, she worked on the yearbook, too.
She did. And as a teenager, Bobbie Jo loved animals, especially horses, and enjoyed barrel riding. Yeah, that's something I wouldn't do.
No, I like horses, but I ain't riding one.
No,
I would, but I'm not. I don't. Anyway.
And I'm not riding a barrel either. But now, Bobbie Jo, she had a talent of connecting with animals and was able to work with animals. She just connected with them and was able to get them to do what she wanted to do. And this would later come into play later in her life. But Bobbie Jo Potter, she graduated in the spring of 2000, and she began working at a local feed and supply store called Earl May Feed and Supply.
It's a good name for a feed and supply store.
It's a typical name, yeah. And she got that job in April of 2001. And her supervisor, his name was Chuck Ellis. And according to him, Bobbie Jo was just a dream employee. She's always ready to help others and was dependable and flexible. So this was a good fit for her.
I guess that means flexible as in her hours and how she could work.
I guess.
Not that she could touch her toes.
Or maybe she would take on any task that they asked her to do.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
But she eventually worked there in the pet corner of the feed and supply. And she was responsible for ordering small animals like bunnies, gerbils, rats, mice, guinea pigs for the store. All right. Now, while she was working there at the feed and supply store, she got to raising rat terriers.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And that was something she was really interested in.
Yeah, something she always wanted to do, you know.
Yeah.
But like you said earlier, she had a real bond with animals, so it's a good idea.
It was. So on January the 17th of 2002, Bobbie Jo's first dog was a 7-year-old rat terrier named Tipsy, and she gave birth to her first litter. And all but one of those puppies Bobbie Jo sold under her business that she created. It was called Happy Haven Farms.
That's a good name.
Yeah. And Bobbie Jo, she became a very responsible breeder who carefully selected who was allowed to adopt her pups. And each prospective owner, Dale, they had to fill out a 2-page application form going into detail of their household, how much time they had for the dog, and
so she's not just a puppy mill slinging them out for $1. She takes care and really, makes it seem to where the animal's going to a good home.
Yeah, and even the new owner had to enroll the dog into obedience classes.
So I couldn't have one of these dogs because I'm not writing a 2-page application.
I know. So so she was very dedicated to her breeding. She became really good at it and respected in that field.
Right.
Yeah. So in 2003, Bobbie Jo left her job at the Earl May Feed and Seed, and she accepted a position at the Kawasaki plant that was near there in Skidmore, Missouri.
Yeah, it probably paid a little more, you think?
Yeah, it was a major employer there in Nottoway County.
Nottoway.
Yeah, where her boyfriend at the time, his name was Zeb Stinnett, and he was the step-grandson of Joanne Stinnett, who also worked there. And Bobbie Jo and Zeb, they had grown up together there in the same neighborhood, and, I guess it being a small town, they knew each other from when they were kids. But they've dated for a while, and they actually ended up getting married on April the 26th of 2003. And they rented a small house on Elm Street.
Oh, man.
Yeah. And I've seen pictures of this house, and it is very small.
Yeah, that wouldn't worry me as much as being on Elm Street.
I know. But anyway.
Kind of foreshadowing.
Yeah. Now, the Stinnett's dream was to buy their own house one day.
Right.
And the money that Bobbie Jo was making from breeding her rat terriers, she was putting that money away.
Right.
So
smart.
Yeah, so they could buy their bigger home. So around this time, Bobbie Jo, she was a pretty familiar face at dog shows, in addition to showing the dogs in the ring. And she even became a licensed judge for the National Kennel Club. Yeah. And a rat terrier breed inspector and press secretary for the United Kennel Club.
How'd she have time for all this?
Man, she was
doing it.
Yeah, that was pretty prestigious. No doubt about it. So, Dale, we're moving up to Thursday, December the 16th of 2004.
Okay.
And this day began like any other day for Zeb and Bobbie Jo Stinnett. The couple, they were childhood sweethearts, and they had recently celebrated 2 important dates. Their first wedding anniversary and Bobbie Jo's 23rd birthday.
Man, she's done a lot to be 23.
Yeah, I know. And they had an even greater event to look forward to, Dale. Bobbie Jo was expecting their first child in January.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Yeah, they were getting a lot done.
Yeah,
I mean, really.
Yeah.
And the two were talking of upgrading their small home to a larger home like we talked about and growing their family. So at around 2:30 that afternoon, Bobbie Jo's mom, Becky, called Bobbie Jo to confirm that she would give Becky a ride home from work around 3:30 because Becky's truck was in the shop, and she worked, I guess, 2 or 3 blocks away, so she was going to give her a ride home.
So Bobbie Jo was going to give her mom a ride home?
Yes.
Okay.
She was going
I'm trying not to get confused with all these beasts.
Yeah, Becky had called her to remind her to give her a ride home.
Right. They live fairly close to each other, right?
They did.
Yeah. Okay.
And as 3:30 came and went, Becky was kind of puzzled that Bobbie Jo hadn't got there to pick her up to take her home. So Becky, her mom, walked 2 blocks to Bobbie Jo's home, and she found the front door open.
Which is weird because it was really cold that day.
It was. This was December.
Yeah.
And when she found the front door open, she went inside calling Bobbie Jo's name.
Yes, and she wasn't answering.
No. And when she got to the dining room, Dale, she was greeted with the most, I guess, horrific sight she could see.
Yeah, not good.
It was the sight of her daughter, Bobbie Jo, laying on the floor covered in blood.
Yep.
And to Becky, she called 911.
Yeah.
And she was just
She was
screaming.
hysterical, right?
And I've heard, I'd love to include the 911 call, but I've only heard excerpts of here and there, and I hadn't been able to find the whole.
Well, if we find it between now and publish time, we'll put it in.
Yeah, we'll insert it, but yeah, but when she called 911, man, she was hysterical.
Yeah.
She told the 911 operator that it looked like her daughter's stomach had exploded.
Yeah. Wow.
And there was no sign of the baby.
Yeah, you remember this is December and the baby was due in January.
Yes.
So she's almost full term here.
Yeah, she was expecting 8 months pregnant. Yeah. And she was hysterical.
Oh, God, I know.
I can't imagine. And they were telling her to start CPR or something, do whatever they could do. But the paramedics, they arrived, and Bobbie Jo didn't make it, man. No, she was actually pronounced dead at 4:27 that afternoon.
Well, they said she kept screaming about the baby, could do something about the baby, but they were kind of confused because her stomach was kind of flat, even though it looked like it exploded, so they didn't know what was going on.
Yeah, they couldn't understand that at all, but there was a lot of blood.
Yeah.
But they got to looking into who had killed Bobbie Jo Stinnett. And police, they got to knocking on doors all around Skidmore.
Yeah, well, around, and see if anybody had seen anything. Well, if it's so small, you're going to know if you see a car or something that's not usually there.
Yeah. And they were searching potential witnesses or residents who might have seen something.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the residents mentioned seeing, it was like a dirty red car that was parked in the Stinnet's driveway around 2:30 p.m.
Right.
And it stuck out because I guess the neighbors had never seen it before.
Yeah.
Nosy neighbors.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Thank God for them.
And when they got to investigating Bobbie Jo and checking her out, they noticed there were some blonde hairs clutched in her fist.
Yeah, and they collected those.
Yeah, and this was a sign that Bobbie Jo had been fighting her attacker.
She had fought someone, yeah.
Yeah. Now, there was blood found on the bottoms of Bobbie Jo's feet.
Mm.
And this suggested that after the killer had taken her baby out of her body, Bobbie Jo had actually regained consciousness and stood up to try to save herself and the unborn child.
So basically what happened, somebody's come in here and strangled her with a cord that they think, and then taken a knife and cut her open to take the baby out.
Yes.
Whew.
Yeah, that's what happened.
Now, even though it's on the bottom of her feet, I don't know that'd be rough, man. I don't know about getting up. I don't know, you could, bend your knees and stomp them on the floor. There'd be blood everywhere.
Pull your knees up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Could be. I don't know if there's tracks around the kitchen. That's different.
Well, it at least shows that
She wasn't dead.
Yeah, she was conscious enough to put her feet on the floor.
Yeah,
some capacity or another.
Yeah, so it shows she was not dead when she was butchered.
Yeah, this is true.
Good Lord.
But the baby had been taken from her womb, man.
Mm.
Yeah, and the doctors believed that
Alive.
Yeah, baby was taken alive.
And the mama was alive.
Yeah.
At that point.
Mm-hmm.
And just left to bleed out, I guess.
I guess. But the sheriff there in Nottoway County, his name was Ben Epsey. And immediately he insisted that an Amber Alert be issued.
Right.
For this newborn infant. This fetus. Yeah.
That wasn't easy to get done, though.
No. He was actually stopped on this. It couldn't be done.
Right.
Because it had never been issued before.
Well, technically it's not supposed to be.
True.
If you go by the Amber Alert rules, I guess.
You couldn't describe the child because nobody had seen it.
Right. And you only got a local
description,
eyewitness of a car, but that's all you know.
Yeah, you don't know if the child is a boy or a girl or anything. It's
got to be like 17 and under, and you have to have some kind of description of the person missing, maybe the perpetrator, and in the vehicle.
Yeah,
I think is the rules of that. But that has only been put into place to make sure it's not a false report.
Yeah, to me, cry wolves.
Right. So they don't want to use the system for that.
Yeah.
So that's why they were meeting with resistance.
Yeah, they got turned down for this Amber Alert.
Yep, that sheriff ain't playing this game.
No, he was a daggum good sheriff.
Yeah.
No doubt about it, because he went over their head.
Yeah. He went to the state representative, right?
Yeah, he did.
Yeah.
And they looked into it immediately, and they got it approved to get this Amber Alert issued.
Right.
Yeah.
Kudos to that.
So it was a nationwide Amber Alert that was issued for this case. It was the first one ever issued for a fetus.
Yeah, just looking for baby Stinnett. That's all they knew.
Yeah, and they were looking for anybody with a newborn infant.
In a red car, yes.
Yeah, so that's all they really had to go on.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, anything suspicious. Now, Bobbie Jo's husband, Zeb, he was working that day at the...
And I'm sure he's going to be number one on the list.
Oh, yeah, he was working at the Kawasaki plant, and his alibi was corroborated. He was at work. Yeah, he had a solid alibi. And quickly dismissed him as a suspect.
Man, I need to get that damn news.
Yeah. So they got to looking into Bobbie Jo's business that she had.
Well, they took her computer.
Yeah, that's what they were looking at.
They started going through that, and that's when they found some leads.
Yeah, they found some chats that Bobbie had been having with her rat terrier business that she had.
Right. They found some messages from a Darlene Fisher.
Yes.
Who they were supposed to meet up with on this day and about that time about buying a dog.
Yeah, because they were part of an online chat group. It was called Ratter Chatter.
Yeah, about these rat terriers.
Yeah. It was like a forum chat. I don't know. Something they had back in 2004.
Yeah, you just go in there and post stuff, talk, message back and forth.
Yeah,
that kind of thing.
About rat terriers, Ratter Chatter.
Dog is a dog thing, yeah.
But the FBI agent saw some messages from, like you said, a lady named Darlene Fisher.
Right.
And they got to looking into this and where the messages were coming from. And they were actually able to pull an IP address.
Yep.
Which is pretty dang cool.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And when they pulled this, there was no Darlene Fisher that they could find.
Well, they started looking for a Darlene Fisher, but they quickly figured out that this Darlene Fisher didn't exist. If she did, she had never had a credit card, never had any kind of banking. There wasn't no addresses, or there was nothing. Nothing but this one profile. And she was supposed to be from Fairfax, Missouri.
Yes.
So once they found the IP address and started chasing that down, the computer forensics analysis came up with these emails went to a modem that was hooked into a telephone line, not in Fairfax, Missouri, but in Melbourne, Kansas.
Yes.
And this line actually belonged to a Kevin and Lisa Montgomery.
Yeah. Wasn't no Darlene Fisher at all.
So no. So now they got to go, the next place would be to go to check these people and see what's going on with this and, and see if they can find this Darlene.
Yeah. So immediately they send agents to
it's like
Melbourne, Kansas.
The next day, right? The next day or 2 days?
The next day.
Yeah, the next day.
Yeah, the next day they send agents to Melbourne, Kansas, to Kevin and Lisa Montgomery's home to find out what's happening.
Right.
If they know anything about what is going on with this. So on December the 17th, this was the next day. The next day after Bobbie Jo was murdered, Kevin and Lisa Montgomery, Dale, they were at this Whistle Stop Cafe in Melbourne, Kansas.
Guess what they were doing?
They were showing off their newborn daughter.
A brand new day-old daughter.
Yeah, and they named her Abigail.
Abigail, yeah.
And they were showing her off, and people were holding her and just...
Which is weird to me.
Loving on her, yeah. But 36-year-old Lisa Montgomery, she had been shopping in Topeka the day before. Right. She told family and friends and went into labor and was taken to a birthing center where she delivered the baby girl.
Right.
And she then called her husband, Kevin, who, along with his 2 teenage kids, they drove to Topeka, picking her and the baby up.
At the Long John Silver's.
Across the street from the birthing center. And she called him up and said, pick me up across the street from the birthing center at Long John Silver's.
Because that's what everybody does.
Exactly. Don't pick me up here, pick me up across the street.
Yeah, weird.
Yeah. But while...
Maybe she needed a fish sandwich.
I guess. Greasy fish sandwich. But while Kevin and Lisa were at this Whistle Stop Cafe, they had no way of knowing that the FBI agents were at their house.
Waiting.
Yeah, their home was on South Adams Road. And the agents had learned just before pulling up to the house that the last email Bobbie Jo had received had come from the Montgomery home.
Right.
And the agents, they watched as the Montgomerys pulled up in their red Toyota Corolla, a dirty red Toyota Corolla.
Yep.
And get this, Lisa was holding a newborn baby. Yeah. And after Kevin and Lisa went in the house, the FBI agents, they walked up the driveway and were greeted by a lot of rat terriers.
Looks like you're at the right place, don't it?
It does, man. And Lisa's husband, Kevin, answered the front door, the knock at the door. And they noticed Lisa was on the sofa holding the infant.
Yeah, he told them to come on in.
Yep. And when they walked in the house, they were watching an Amber Alert
on TV
for the Stinnett baby on television.
Man, how ironic is this?
Crazy. Now, Sergeant Investigator, his name was Randy Strong. He explained to Kevin and Lisa Montgomery that he was investigating Bobbie Jo Stinnett's murder and asked about the baby.
Mm-hmm.
And Lisa told him that she'd given birth to their baby the day before at the birthing center there in Topeka, Kansas. And she asked Kevin to go out to the truck and get her discharge papers.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But he didn't, bro. He couldn't find them, could he?
Yeah, he couldn't find them.
You know why?
They didn't have them.
Because it wasn't
they wasn't any. And while waiting, investigator Strong noticed that there was dried blood around Lisa's fingernails.
So this woman ain't washed her hands in 2 days?
Yeah, I just found
I
out.
guess a day.
I just found that weird.
That's very weird.
Yeah, because blood will wash out pretty easily, but
Well,
yeah,
especially after a day.
you think, yeah.
I mean, you got a lot of time to do it.
You hold.
I mean, she was at Long John Silver. She could have went in there and washed her hands.
Yeah, but you hold a newborn baby with dirty fingernails.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, the SBI agent Strong asked to speak to Lisa outside, and she agreed. And she gave the baby to a law enforcement officer. And once they got outside, Lisa Montgomery told the investigator that her family, they were struggling financially.
Yeah.
And her husband Kevin didn't know about it.
No. Poor fella. Seems like he don't know about a lot of stuff.
I know, and we're going to get into that. She told the investigator that she had given birth at home with the assistance of two of her friends.
Yeah, we just don't have no money, so I'm going to call my friends come over here and
help me deliver.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Now, when pressed for names, Lisa said she said they weren't actually in the house, but they helped her over the phone.
What the hell?
Deliver her baby.
I'd love to see this guy's face while he's answering these questions and she's giving these answers.
Yeah, I bet his jaw was just dropping to the ground.
Yeah.
And she said she'd given birth in the kitchen and actually disposed of the placenta in a nearby creek.
That's what I'd do with it.
Just throw it in the creek. Lord have mercy.
God.
Now, Dale.
Can't make this up, man.
And it was at this point Lisa requested the interview continue at the nearby sheriff's office.
I think they requested she go to the sheriff's office, and she said okay.
Yeah. Now, when they got to the sheriff's office, Lisa broke down and confessed to having strangled Bobbie Jo Stinnett.
Yes.
Then cutting the baby from her womb, and then kidnapping the infant. Now, according to Lisa, she arrived at the Stinnett home around 12:30 in the afternoon with a sharp knife and a white cord. And she said that her and Bobbie Jo had played outside with the puppies until Bobbie Jo's mom, Becky, had called around 2:15 or 2:30. And after Bobbie Jo hung up the phone, that's when Lisa attacked her, strangled her with the cord, and that's when Lisa began cutting the baby out. Lisa said that Bobbie Jo regained consciousness, and the result was a struggle.
Oh, God, I guess so.
Yeah.
So what she's telling us here is, which, this is a little bit different than, because one of them, some of the information we had was that she was on the phone when she pulled up with her mom, and she told her she had to go because the lady was there.
Yes.
This is the first I've seen or first I heard, well, I won't go into that far. But anyway, so we don't really know how it went down, but according to other information we found is when they were in the house, they went in the kitchen, that's where she kept the kennels with the dogs. And when she went to pick up one of the puppies, that's when she pulled out the cord and wrapped it around her neck and choke her out. And then went to cutting her open. And then that's when she came to.
And then Lisa strangled her a second time, and that's when she removed the baby from her
God
arm.
almighty.
Yeah.
Man, I can't imagine this.
Now, Lisa Montgomery was arrested and charged with the federal offense of kidnapping resulting in death. Because, she did take an infant across state lines, too.
Oh, yeah.
And agents, they didn't believe that Kevin was aware of what his wife did, nor had anything to do with the crime. They didn't believe it.
No, Kevin was shocked.
Yeah.
He was convinced his wife been pregnant the whole time.
That's what he was saying.
And I'm thinking, dude, I can't wrap my head around this. How do you fake a pregnancy?
Well,
your husband don't know.
Well, she did. And we're going to talk a little bit more about that, too.
I guess you sleep in there and I'll stay in here for 9 months. You don't need to see me.
Yeah.
Because there's a big difference when you start and when you end.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't know.
Maybe the first couple months you can fake it.
Oh, yeah.
But after a while, it's going to be hard.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, this investigator Strong, he was a former paramedic, and he had noticed that the infant was a baby girl and was only 5 pounds 11 ounces, and had been very still and quiet while they were at the Montgomery home. And he also considered the baby's head to be unusually round. It wasn't a vaginal birth, because
He wasn't coned out or nothing.
No, usually a cesarean baby or baby that's taken like that would have a perfect little round head. Yeah. But the baby was taken to the hospital and checked out, and she was put in the NICU to check her out and get her everything she needed. But she was healthy. Now on December the 21st, this was a very, very cold day in Skidmore, and Bobbie Jo Stinnett was laid to rest at the Hillcrest Cemetery. And there was more than 400 people turned out to pay respects.
It's more than the whole town.
It is. And the next day, the baby was discharged from the hospital and returned to her father, Zeb. And he named the baby Victoria Jo.
Yeah, that's what Bobbie Jo had wanted her named.
Yeah, she had been a girl. And he called her a miracle. Yeah.
Man, this gives me chills. Huh?
I know, man. Now, just a little bit more about this Lisa Montgomery. Now, Lisa was prematurely born in February of 1968, and her mom was an alcohol-addicted mother, and her name was Judy. And her early birth, along with an alcoholic mom, it contributed to what was later diagnosed as a permanent brain damage Lisa had.
Well, I don't know if that's what caused it, but she's got a lot of other stuff that's going to make it
even worse.
Yes.
And Lisa's father also suffered with mental illness, and the family, they lived in poverty. But the only bright spot in Lisa's world, it seemed, was her older half-sister, Diane, who was 4 at the time that Lisa was born. And she had a younger half-sister, Patty, who was born when Lisa was 2 and Diane was 6. Now, Lisa's father, he abandoned the family when Lisa was just a small kid.
Right.
Leaving her and Diane.
Who was his daughter from another lady. Left them too.
He did.
Yeah.
To endure Judy, her negligence, the mom.
Yeah.
And she was violent, and she beat her kids with belts, cords, hangers, or
whatever she can get her hands
anything.
on.
Them kids were forced to suffer cold showers and even forced them to eat raw onions, which I don't understand why.
Why in the hell are you going to do that?
I know.
Yeah, it was even said that, when they were toddlers, that she would just leave them strapped in her high chair for hours until they eat everything that was on their plate.
Yeah.
She wouldn't let them up. Just sit there. It didn't matter to her. You stay there all day.
Yeah. Crazy. Now, Lisa, as she grew up, she would have her mouth duct taped shut when Judy decided she didn't want to hear her crying or speaking.
Good Lord.
And in one incident, Judy punished Lisa and Diane by beating the family dog to death in front of them. And in another, Lisa was
good parenting here, buddy.
God damn. And in another, Lisa was encouraged and forced to hit Patty with a board
until she bled.
Until she bled, yeah. There's some sick people, man.
I'll tell you what, man. It's this thing, and a lot of these stories we do. It's really hard to feel bad about the murderer or perpetrator or whatever. But when you look into some of their backgrounds, you're like, man, the system failed these people.
Yeah.
I mean, I ain't saying that what she did was, I ain't taking up for nobody, what I'm saying, but God almighty.
I know.
People got some rough lives.
But because of all this negligence and beating, social services was notified, and they came and took Diane away. This is the older sister.
Yeah.
Putting her into a foster home where she would be safe and would flourish and do well.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, Lisa was left behind.
So why? I don't
know. And years later, Diane, as an adult, would talk about this.
It don't make any sense.
But she had never spoken up to either social services or her foster family about the full extent of the abuse and even the rape that she had suffered.
Right. And we're talking like 9-year-old kids here.
Yes.
And younger.
Yeah, but these girls, they were subject to rape too.
A lot.
Yeah.
It just keeps getting worse.
Because Judy had met a man named Jack. And
I wonder if they took the one girl because she was only it was her daughter though, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I was going to say because of the dad left it.
They were both their daughters, yeah.
Never mind, just cut that.
Yeah. But the mom, Judy, had met another man, Jack, and he began raping Lisa when she was 11.
Yeah, he was a mean drunk.
Yeah.
Piece of crap.
And he went so far as to build a room onto the side of the trailer just for Lisa so he could go in there and rape her and do whatever he wanted to with her.
He'd beat him up, punch him, kick him, choke him. I mean, he'd do it to his wife, to the kids. He didn't care. He did it to all of them.
And even have friends come over and have their way with her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He'd make her take all her clothes off before he beat her. What the hell, dude?
I know.
When she was only 11, he started raping her. I mean, 11.
Yeah.
And he was doing this once, twice, 3 times a week for 4 years.
Yeah.
Like I said, then he built him a special room where he could just go in anytime he damn want to.
Mm-hmm.
God almighty.
Yeah. And Judy even told Lisa that she had to pay for her room for the new plumbing that was being installed by submitting to oral, vaginal, and anal rape. Because they would let people come over to the house and she was them have sex with her and pay her.
To pay her bills.
Yeah. That's what she was doing, man.
You know, one time when she got raped, that's what it said that he just smashed her head into the concrete floor. And that's probably where this traumatic brain injury stuff come from.
Yeah.
This Jack guy, man, he's a piece of work.
Yeah, he's a piece of shit. That's what he is.
Yeah. There was one occasion when Judy had actually walked into the room while Jack was raping Lisa. And Judy grabbed a gun and rather than confronting Jack, held the gun to Lisa's head, screaming at Lisa that she had betrayed her.
Yeah.
So she's yelling at the kid because she's getting raped.
Mm-hmm. It's all messed up, man.
God almighty, dude.
Yeah. Yeah, you're not supposed to be having sex with my husband.
Yeah, what the hell are you doing? You're betraying me.
But all these other people you can have sex with, even though you're a kid.
To pay my bill.
Well, it wasn't sex, it was rape.
It was.
Yeah.
Okay, God almighty.
Yeah. And even at school, it was noticed that Lisa was wearing ill-fitting clothing, and most of it was just hand-me-down stuff.
It was all dirty and stuff, because she wasn't getting her nothing done at home.
And she was often spaced out and would just lose her train of thought.
Well, duh.
Yeah.
She probably didn't want to think about nothing in her life.
I know. Probably school was the best thing that happened to her when she'd get away from home. But Judy and Jack would eventually divorce in 1985, with Lisa testifying about the abuse and rapes she routinely suffered.
Well, it was even said that the school administrators, they suspected a lot of abuse, but they never did nothing to help her out.
No.
Nothing at all. I mean, they come in, her grades just went straight down, like she needed to be put in special needs classes just to help her get her through school. They knew some stuff was going on. I don't know. This kind of stuff pisses me off, this little girl. I mean, I know it turns out bad the other way, but this girl was, I don't know, what a hell of a life.
Yeah, she suffered throughout her whole childhood.
Yeah.
She did.
This is where we need that mob mentality here.
Yeah, we really do. But when Lisa was 17, Lisa took an Air Force summer program that she excelled in and decided she wanted to apply to enlist, believing not only that the enlistment would get her out of her mother's house, but the strict regiment lifestyle would be good for her.
Yeah.
But it was not to be. Shortly after the divorce from Jack, this was her mom's husband.
Trash.
Yeah. Judy married a man by the name of Richard Bowman. Now, Bowman's son, Carl, either got Lisa pregnant or Judy instigated an engagement, but by August of 1986. So that's what happened there.
So she kind of pushed them two together.
Yeah.
What you're saying?
Yeah. Lisa with her stepbrother.
Yeah.
Yeah. So when Lisa was 18 and shortly after graduating from high school, her and her stepbrother Carl were married.
I think he was like 24.
Yes, he was.
Like that, yeah.
And her new married life just mirrored the rest of her life. Her husband Carl was abusive and would beat and rape her.
God almighty.
And even film it, along with her cries of pain, so it could be viewed later.
So you could watch it later.
Yeah. And
boy, her mama's just a winner picker, isn't she?
Yeah.
She can just pick them. God almighty.
Now, Lisa's half-brother, his name was Teddy Kleiner, later gave a sworn statement testifying that he had viewed a homemade video made by Carl Bowman of Lisa being beaten and then raped. And Kleiner said that at the time he had no idea what to do or how to even approach Lisa about the video.
So he just didn't do nothing?
Nothing.
Boy, she got all kind of people coming to her rescue, don't she?
I know. But what's crazy, though, is later on in 2019, her half-brother Teddy Kleiner was shot to death in Topeka, Kansas, and is still an unsolved homicide. But anyway.
Well, we probably don't know what to do about it.
It goes to the family.
Yeah.
Now, Lisa and Carl Bowman, they lived in poverty, man, with their home missing walls and floors, had no running water or plumbing.
God almighty.
They were loose wires and no furniture. And during this time, Lisa gave birth to 4 children. to this man. The first was born in January of 87, with the 3 following over the next 3 years. Due to the lack of beds, the children slept on the floor. And in 1990, following the birth of her 4th child, Lisa underwent tubal ligation,
Right.
which was forced upon by her husband, Carl Bowman, and Judy. They both forced it upon her. And about 12 weeks after her sterilization, a sonogram was performed on Lisa, which verified the tubal ligation was successful, and she would no longer be able to have kids.
Which means she ain't never going to get a break now.
No. Now, in 1994, Lisa and her husband, Carl, they separated. Lisa had an affair and claimed that it resulted in a pregnancy. And she and Bowman would divorce. They would reconcile and remarry, and then divorce for a second time in 1998.
This poor woman.
And in 1999, Lisa moved to Melbourne, Kansas, that we talked about. It is a tiny town. It was roughly 40 miles south of Topeka, Kansas,
Right.
which has less than 500 people. And that's where she met a man named Kevin Montgomery.
Yeah, he was a divorced electrician who lived there, and they started dating.
Yeah, and he had kids of his own, too.
Right.
So before their marriage in 2000, Lisa informed Kevin she was pregnant and wanted to have an abortion.
So he gave her some money.
He did.
Yeah.
They gave her some money for the procedure.
Yeah, and it was never spoke of again.
No.
So it was like, oh, here you go, and then she never even mentioned it anymore.
Yeah, and 2 years later,
They was married, yeah.
and Lisa told Kevin that she was pregnant again.
Yeah.
But
he wouldn't let him go to any of the prenatal visits with the doctor.
No.
Yeah.
But the doctor would later testify that despite Lisa's claims, he treated her for a cold and ankle pain.
Yeah, nothing to do with pregnancy.
And when the supposed due date came and went, Lisa told Kevin that the baby had died and she had donated the body to science.
Now, either this girl is really good at manipulation.
Or she just got some dumb people in her life
Yeah.
that believes anything.
Okay. I wasn't going to go that deep, but yeah, that's what I was thinking. Yeah, that's because anyway, go ahead.
Now get this, Dale. In February of 2004, Lisa had turned 36 years old, and by that time, she had moved 61 times in her life.
How many?
61. Almost twice a year.
Man,
Yeah.
I've moved twice, and that's enough.
Yeah.
I don't like it either time.
Yeah, I don't like moving at all. She probably didn't have nothing to take with her. She just moved.
Well, I guess so. You don't got nothing. Get in the car and go somewhere else.
So in April of 2004, Lisa Montgomery actually met Bobbie Jo Stinnett at a dog show in Abilene, Kansas. And at this time, both of these women were breeders of rat terriers, and they were both members of this Ratter Chatter online forum.
Yeah, like we talked about earlier.
Yes. Now,
actually, I had a photo made, didn't he? And they were both in the photo.
Yes.
At one time? Yeah.
Yeah. Now, during this time in this Ratter Chatter online forum, Bobbie Jo got to posting and making comments about her being pregnant.
Right. Well, she was a popular figure in this forum. You know, like you said earlier, she was a real respected breeder in this group, and they were, it was just a members only kind of thing. So it was the same people were talking to the same people. So she was, pretty popular in here.
Yeah.
So she was happy to share the news that she was pregnant.
That's right.
Yeah.
And at the same time, Lisa Montgomery was claiming that she was pregnant, even though she had had her tubes tied.
Right.
Yeah.
So then she came in the group and announced to them as well, even saying her due date was in December, knowing that Bobbie Jo's was in January.
Yeah.
Because they weren't like friends, but they were like I said, they were both members of this group, so they're seeing each other, chatting back and forth.
Yeah, talking back and forth.
Yeah.
About rat terriers and being pregnant, and I guess they talked about a little bit of everything in this chatter group. Yeah.
Yeah. Actually, they had even exchanged messages to each other, talking about how their cravings were doing and what they were buying, new maternity stuff, and discussing baby names and all kind of stuff. And, it was kind of crazy. I mean, Bobbie Jo had no idea this woman's lying the whole damn time.
Yeah.
Just like everybody else. But, so she's just, they're friends, kind of, sort of.
Yeah, and she had no idea that Lisa was impossible for her to conceive.
Yeah.
No idea. And Lisa's husband, Kevin, and her children had no idea that
she was lying.
Yeah. But she did wear maternity clothing.
Yeah, appeared to be gaining weight, and faking other pregnancy-related symptoms and, I guess,
cravings or whatever.
Cravings and back hurting and
sickness.
Everything that comes with it.
Yeah.
All the fun.
Now, in the fall of 2004, both Bobbie Jo Stinnett and Lisa Montgomery were preparing for upcoming arrivals of babies. Lisa's first husband, Carl Bowman, Dale, he began a legal proceeding to get custody of their children that he had with Lisa.
Right.
That was living with Lisa and Kevin.
Now, this is the 24-year-old guy, stepbrother guy.
Yeah.
That was raping her every day for the kids.
And he knew that she couldn't possibly be pregnant.
Yeah, because he had forced her into this.
Yes.
Yeah.
And the only way that she could keep custody of those kids is if she produced another baby.
She was going to prove them wrong.
And that's right. So both of these households were preparing for a baby.
And on December 10th, Carl actually filed motion for the custody of them two kids.
Yes, he did.
Yeah, so he wasn't just talking about it no more.
So the day before Bobbie Jo was murdered, this will be on December the 15th, Bobbie Jo had gotten an email message from the Ratter Chatter forum. This was from a lady by the name of Darlene Fisher. Yeah. Stating that she was interested in one of her pups, and she was wanting it for a Christmas gift for her kid.
Right. So I think somebody had posted or somebody had talked to a fella in this group, and they told her that Bobbie Jo would be the place to go, seeing her dog had just had a litter, and they would be ready to go by Christmas.
That's right.
So that's when Darlene sent the email to her to ask her about her dogs.
So they exchanged information, and Bobbie Jo told Darlene Fisher that she could come the next day on the 16th to look at the pups and talk about them and decide what she wanted to do.
Yeah, it wasn't out of the ordinary for somebody to want to come and look at the dogs.
That's right. So this Darlene Fisher turned out to be Lisa Montgomery.
Right.
She had faked it.
The whole thing.
She had created a separate account on the
That's why they couldn't
Ratter Chatter. Yeah.
Find who she was or an address or anything.
That's right.
So it was one and the same.
That's right.
So this woman had befriended her all this time and then created a fake profile to meet her and said that she didn't really recognize her when she got there, is what we found out. It said she was wearing the big clothes and stuff, and I don't know, maybe fixed up different or something, but she was kind of happy that she didn't recognize her. And it was like, wow.
Yeah, playing outside with the dogs.
Let's go in the house, choke her out.
Yep.
Take out her knife.
But Lisa Montgomery, a.k.a. Darlene Fisher, showed up with a large coat, and she had a paring knife in her pocket and a cord.
Yes.
And that's what she used to choke her out and cut the baby out of her womb.
And then pinched the umbilical cord with her fingers and tucked the baby under the coat and went and got in the car.
Yeah.
And left her on the floor to bleed out.
Yep. And then she drove away to a secluded spot and used baby wipes to clean the baby up.
Yeah, because she'd been online, and she'd got online and seen about home births, about how to do cesarean sections, and how to do other things, including ordering a newborn kit that came with the clamps and all that stuff.
Birthing kit.
A birthing kit with the the mucus suction thing and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Everything you need.
Yeah. Yeah, she just ordered a little homemade birthing kit.
Do it yourself.
Yeah.
DIY birthing.
Well, that's right. That's crazy, man.
Kitchen floor births.
Yeah.
Made easy.
But like we said, Lisa was arrested.
Oh, yeah.
She was taken into custody for
You know what's amazing, before you get too deep into that, is the damn job they did tracking her down.
It was quick.
The next day.
It was quick.
Yeah. So awesome. Go ahead.
Yeah. Because when the Amber Alert went out, this Sheriff Epsy, man, he's a big hero in this as far as finding out what happened and who these people were, the Montgomerys, and yeah.
Yeah, because they actually this Lisa had, under this Darlene thing, the Darlene Fisher profile had told her that she lived fairly close. In all actuality, it was like almost 300 miles away.
Yes.
And so she probably thought she was covered, that nobody's ever going to go 300 miles out and figure out what's going on here. But the IP address is what got her.
Yeah.
Luckily.
So after the initial indictment against Lisa Montgomery was filed for kidnapping resulting in death, statutory aggregating factors were included that mentioned Bobbie Jo's death as being especially cruel,
you think?
heinous, and depraved, and involved serious physical abuse against Bobbie Jo.
Oh, man.
As a result, the government noted its intent to seek the death penalty against Lisa.
Right.
And they went through several things in court talking about her childhood, her borderline personality disorder, her false and fake pregnancies, all this stuff that she had done and lied about. And we're not going to get into all that stuff about the court, but it eventually came out that the jury deliberated for 5 hours, and they did return a verdict of guilty.
Right. You know, and I mean, she's guilty. Ain't no doubt about it.
And they rejected her claim that she suffered with mental illness and defect.
Right. Which is, I don't know. This is one of them things where it kind of gets me, you know, because when you first hear the story, you're so really pissed off about what she did and how bad it was and how cruel. And then you go into other lady's background and go, damn, her whole life was trash. You know she had to have some mental problems. I ain't trying to make up for what she did, but she should have got some help way down the road.
Yeah.
I mean, they should have took her when they took the other girl.
Diane.
Yeah, when Diane was taken away, they should have took her too. And I think this whole thing would have been different.
Yep. So the jury, after a 2-day penalty phase trial, Lisa's friends and family, co-workers, and doctors testified on her behalf, and the defense hoped for life imprisonment, citing to Lisa's ability to appreciate the wrongfulness of her conduct, her remorse over her actions, and the emotional support she received and would continue to receive from her 4 children as well as her husband, Kevin. But Kevin, her husband, he was cleared of any wrongdoing in this. He had no clue that his wife was doing a fake pregnancy and planning to kidnap a fetus.
Yeah, nor did he know that she couldn't conceive.
Yeah.
She didn't ever tell him that.
No.
So you think when the ex come back in and saying, well, I'm taking these kids, that she just started flipping out, she's got to have a kid? Because she said she was going to prove them wrong, so she's going to get a kid.
Yeah, she's going to get a kid.
And but I don't know, that came in kind of late to me, because she had been planning this for almost a year, it seemed like.
Yeah. You know what's crazy?
Well, she had to plan it for like 9 months or less. I mean, or at least, somewhere in there.
Yeah.
7 maybe. Go ahead.
But even Lisa's family had told Kevin, her husband, that she'd had her tubes tied, and he didn't even know what that meant. He had no clue.
And he's an electrician?
Yeah. I mean,
I know them two things don't have anything to do with it, but electrician, you think you have to be pretty bright.
But on October the 26th, the jury returned with a death penalty verdict.
Yeah.
Lisa's sister, Diane, who had not seen Lisa since she was 4 years old, had been reunited with her following her arrest. And upon hearing the verdict handed down in the courtroom, she screamed.
Oh, I bet.
Yeah.
I mean, it was kind of crazy, because even before the open statements and stuff come out, Lisa's PET scan and all that analysis and everything about that they didn't let it in.
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't understand.
But this was a federal offense.
Oh, yeah.
And almost exactly 3 years later, on April the 5th, 2011, her attorneys filed an appeal with the 8th Circuit, arguing, among other things, that the government failed to prove the death penalty resulted from kidnapping, that the court erred in excluding certain evidence, and the jury was not properly instructed. But this petition was denied. So Lisa was put on death row in Fort Worth, Texas. And Lisa began to see psychiatrists and receive treatment that she'd never gotten her whole life.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And the doctors saw she suffered from psychosis, bipolar disorder, and post-traumatic stress disorder, and were suffering with all 3 at the time she murdered Bobbie Jo Stinnett. They also felt that she had permanent brain damage from the repeated beatings inflicted by her mother, stepfathers, and her first husband.
I don't doubt that either.
Yeah. And she was put on a bunch of different medications that controlled many of her symptoms. But Lisa was scheduled to be executed on December the 8th of 2020. But at that time, one of her legal attorneys was diagnosed with COVID-19, and the execution was delayed.
Right.
And on December the 23rd, a new execution date of January the 12th of 2021 was announced. And on January the 1st of 2021, a stay was granted by federal judge Patrick Hanlon, stating that her mental competence needed to be tested, and it could feasibly be argued that she did not understand the grounds of her execution. But in a 6-3 vote, the Supreme Court vacated that stay, and the January 12th execution date was ordered to be carried out. So on January the 12th, Lisa Montgomery was moved from Texas, where she had requested to be executed, to the death row of an almost all-male federal prison in Terre Haute, Indiana. And when asked if she had any last words before her lethal injection was administered, all she said was no. So at 1:30 a.m. on January the 13th of 2021, Lisa Montgomery was pronounced dead, becoming the third woman to be executed by the U.S. federal government and the first female prisoner executed in 67 years. And the first woman to be executed in the United States since 2015 at the time of her death.
Right.
And she was, at the time, still married
to
Kevin Montgomery, yeah.
Who still probably ain't got a clue what the hell's going on.
Probably don't. But, you know, I really feel bad for Bobbie Jo Stinnett. You know, she was living her life, wanting a bigger house, having a kid, had her
done
business.
So much stuff, and she was only 23.
Yeah, had her life planned, man, and she was doing good. And somebody that was wanting their baby, their life, needed a baby to show she was pregnant to do this. It's crazy, man.
Sad, man.
It is.
To really everybody involved in this damn case.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The only good thing is the baby lived.
Yeah. The baby did thrive. She did well. She's a grown woman now.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, me and you talked about this off the air the other day about, you know, the baby. They named her Victoria Jo.
Mm-hmm.
How much would you be told over the years? I guess being a kid, your parents tell you that mommy's in heaven.
Or whatever, you know. But God almighty, when you find out what really happened, how does that affect you?
Eventually,
you got to know. I mean, one day you got to sit you down before you find it, especially in the day and age now, because you can find out anything.
Yeah, you can Google your name and there it is.
Right.
So you got to be told.
And both the husbands on both sides, man.
Yeah. But Zeb, he did.
I mean, poor old Zeb, that was a childhood sweetheart.
His miracle.
Basically. I mean, the whole time, you know, and then get that call. Going from super happy to you fixing to have a baby.
Yeah.
I mean, just a couple of, less than a few weeks.
Mm-hmm.
Then you go home and everything's all to hell.
But Zeb, you know, he raised her with the help of his family, and they'd done a great job with Victoria. It's a sad situation all the way around.
Yeah.
I guess the only...
And think on Kevin, man. He's just blindsided by all this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you know, Kevin, he's got to be the dumbest man in the world not to know what's going on. Yeah.
Or he just took everything for the golden truth, everything she said.
Yeah.
I mean, he might have thought he won the lottery. I mean, you know, we don't know anything about him, really.
No.
He met this lady, everything seemed to be going good. And
they've got a Brady Bunch family.
Yeah, and a couple, she's pregnant, and then she loses it, and then donates one to science, and... I mean, all this weird stuff that comes out later, you don't really know how it was approached, and for him to get the information, you know, it was just like, he's like, what? You know, I don't know. Yeah, but I mean, I don't want to talk bad about the dude, but damn, come on, man.
Yeah.
You got to question something here every now and again.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's just a damn sad story all the way around.
Yeah. But anyway, that's the story of Bobbie Jo Stinnett. You know, young mom, wanting to be mom. Yeah, it was a rough one, man. We struggled to get through this one.
Yeah, very much so.
Yeah. All right, bud, we're going to get out of here.
Let's roll, man. I'm ready.
We want everyone to be safe. Just please be careful and always be aware of your surroundings.
Because the next episode could be about you.
This is the Crack House Chronicles.